From hospital bed to Guinness World Record at London Marathon in 12 weeks. How was that possible? In this video I talk about that 12-week journey, how I went from major surgery to finishing London Marathon in a new Guinness World Record. Now, for a lot of you who've been following me a while will know that in a lot of my videos I will say that please do give this video a thumbs up, subscribe and hit the alarm bell, which I would very much like you to do for this. But there's two other things I'd like you to do also, is if you do find this video inspirational in some way, please do share it with your family, friends and everybody. But also the biggest reason why I'm doing this, because often it is the why, not the how. I'm going to go through all the hows and all that, is I was doing this in memory of my late aunt who passed away last year. Not long after London Marathon last year, I had the notice literally the night before I was running London Marathon, so that was emotional for me last year, and I decided that after the marathon that I would run it in honour, because she lived with dementia for a number of years. So I was running for Dementia UK, and there's a link below in the description. I would dearly love for each and every one of you to make a kind donation for Dementia UK, who do some amazing work with their Admiral nurses, helping friends and family of those who are living with dementia, because it's not good. But that's why I was doing all this. So let's go through all the hows. Yeah, because I know you want to know all the hows. And be sure to watch all the way through, because there's a lot of information I've not shared in previous videos of what's happened in the past 12 weeks. Yeah, I've kept a lot under wraps. It's now Tuesday the 4th of October, 2 days after London Marathon, where I got that new Guinness World Record dressed as a hospital patient, which was quite apt, having been a hospital patient literally 12 weeks before that particular race, almost to the day, 12 weeks. But that wasn't the plan. I'd already agreed that outfit long before I even knew there was going to be an operation, so it just happened to be, I don't know, serendipitous, just how things panned out. But I've got to give a big shout out to each and every one of you who are watching this, who've left comments up from the previous race day video, and also on race day itself, where I met so many of you, and at the expo it was just amazing, an atmosphere like no other, and so many of you from around the world. I can't name everybody. I'll do that in another video, and going through stuff where there's so much to go through. But this one is purely about inspiration, which, as I say, I don't use that word lightly. Is it an overused word? For me, there was 42,000 inspirational people running that marathon at London, and I met so many of them and chatted to a lot of them on the course, and I was absolutely delighted to bump into two people who really do inspire me greatly. I bumped into Steve Edwards, who's on his 946th marathon. Yeah, let that sink in. 946 marathons. Quite incredible. I also, as I was approaching Tower Bridge, bumped into Richard Whitehead, who is an incredible guy, an absolute true inspiration, who runs with prosthetic legs. When I was coming up to him, I could see him in the distance. It's not many people you'll see running with prosthetic legs. I've only seen that once before, and that was at Boston Marathon. I've never seen that before, but to actually, and I know Richard is an absolute legend, he's ran many marathons, but these people, you know, Richard and Steve, these guys are amazing. You know, they really inspire me. I regard them as true inspirations. And yes, Steve and Richard are amazingly inspirational people, but you're here to listen to my little inspirational story here. A breakdown of from when early July I was in hospital having my gallbladder moved. See, I can't even say gallbladder clearly, first time. Yeah, that wasn't planned. Whilst I'd been waiting for a number of years, having had a gallstone diagnosed, and to treat that, because the pain I was getting is gallbladder gets removed. When I got that call, it was like literally from the NHS. They said, oh, can you do next week, or was it 2 weeks? I can't remember. It was very short notice, And I said, well, yes, I've been waiting nearly 3 years for this. So I took the offer. Immediately the thoughts were, you know, sometimes we should take our health first and run in a second. But for me, sometimes we've got to get the priorities right. I immediately thought, because I was about to start London Marathon training, I was into my 16 week, but I was planning to start a 12-week training plan. I suddenly thought, oh, am I going to be able to run London Marathon? Yeah, let alone recover from the surgery, but would I be able to get to the start of London Marathon? And that's where my thoughts were towards the end of June, beginning of July, what's going to happen. As I was saying, it's important that health comes first, and for me, running second. I don't want to run anything and impair something that could have a long-term health damage. So that's where I was. The surgery happened, unfortunately, and this is where I'm going to go into details. You probably haven't heard. I may have spoken to some of you personally one-to-one, but not disclosed this. Literally 5 days after the surgery, I ended up in accident and emergency with another complication and needed an emergency procedure to have. Yeah, it makes me eyes water just thinking about it. But basically, I had to have a catheter fitted to basically empty out my bladder. I was suffering from water retention, which wasn't good, and I was in an awful lot of pain, and the pain was just developing, and the drugs that I'd been given for the surgery were just not enough. I thought the pain I was getting was due to my gallbladder removal, and I was taking the painkillers for that. Little did I know that I actually had water retention. So by the Monday morning, I'd called my GP. So the surgery happened on the Wednesday. Monday morning, called me GP, explained the symptoms. They then got me in, because they now still do the triage. You can't go straight in to see a GP, because they're still following COVID regulations, whatever it is. But anyway, as soon as I went to see the GP, she said, yep, we need to get you into A&E. So I literally got into a cab, went straight to accident emergency, and they saw me pretty much immediately and fitted the catheter. And yeah, that was pretty painful, and not one I'd like to repeat. About 8 days later, I had the catheter removed, and there was complications again, which I won't share here because I really don't want to. Yeah, but hasten to say that it was literally 5 weeks from surgery that I had zero running, no training whatsoever. I was able to get out and do some walks. When I had the catheter fitted, I could barely walk a kilometre, but I was determined to get out and be mobile each day rather than sit or lie in bed. Most of those 8 days with the catheter fitted, I was literally just either sitting down or lying in bed. Sleeping was a challenge for me, because with the bag, you know, let's talk about the pragmatics. I've got a bag that's holding me pee, yeah, sloshing around. Yes, I'd go and empty that or whatever, so empty it before going to bed. But then it would fill up through the night, as it does, yeah, because obviously it's coming straight out. I know, is it too much detail for you? But yeah, this is the story. And yeah, so going through that, it was such a relief having that taken off, and then the recovery was starting. I was getting more walking in, and then I was able to step up to about 3, 4, 5 kilometers of walking, because it take about an hour. But the walking, at most, I was able to do maybe 10-15 minutes in the early weeks. So not even walking was doing, let alone running. For those of you who have been following me a while and not new here, will know that when I did eventually start running, it was a very, how can I say, gingerly start. So the first thing that I'd done was to go up and down some steps at the Worcester racecourse, just to see how the innards were feeling, because I wasn't getting any mobility or movement around there. So rather than go out straight for a run, I tried up and down steps. So stepping up and down on those steps at the Worcester racecourse, that worked fine. And then in a way, I don't know how it happened, I rapidly moved up to doing a run walk for about 3-4 kilometers. Then I'd done a run walk for 5 kilometers, and then progressed to running continuously for 5 kilometers and slowly stepping it up where I was doing some runs. And that was a great mental boost for me. But I knew time was short to get ready for London. Whilst time was short, I knew that I'd already planned out and plotted what my training would be. So it's literally 4 weeks of training, 3 weeks of taper. The and it wasn't literally a copy and paste or looking back at Manchester. I did need to tweak a few things, and speaking to my previous coach, you know, I did go through that with him and look at the details and see what I could and couldn't do, because, you know, going straight in, there's no way I'd be banging out 20-mile long runs. And that was one of the issues, is that whilst I was able to slowly progress up and do some easy slow runs, I couldn't do any speed work or anything like that. It was very much, yeah, it was tough, you know, both physically and mentally, not being able to do those types of things. But in that 4 weeks I managed 3 long runs of about between 25 and 30k, so I wasn't even getting up to 20 miles, which for a lot of people, you think, well, you know, it is what it is for me, and I just had to settle with that, because I couldn't ramp up the mileage, because then that adds the risk of getting injured, and I didn't want to get to the start injured. That was a no-no for me. I wanted to get to the start fit, healthy and ready to go, and that's what I achieved in that time. So knowing I might have been about 80-90% fit getting there, I did clock a superb park run of 18 minutes 30 literally a week before. That was part of the taper which I'd done for Manchester. I'd done for other marathons as well, is to do a fast park run just to help give me some indication. And as for those of you who are experienced runners will know that 5k times don't automatically translate to marathon times if you haven't done the endurance training. And for me, I hadn't done the endurance training, so I wasn't being delusional with myself of what marathon time I could run, but I still needed to run in under 3 hours 20 to get that world record. We're now coming to race day. The expo was amazing on the Thursday for me, and race day, it's all about preparation and nothing new on race day. That's the mantra I always say. But what did I go and do on race day? Yes, I'll tell you more in a moment, but the forecast was wind and rain literally the day before, so I'd packed and had everything ready the night before for a windy and rainy marathon run. Yeah, but what happened on the morning? Well, it was dry and there was hardly any wind. There was wind, but not what was forecast. So I'd packed various items, and one of those items, which I wear different types of socks depending on what the weather conditions are. I'd packed different socks to what I normally wear on marathon running, and I have worn these socks before. I have done long runs in these socks before. I've done it all before, yeah, nothing new. The shoes weren't new. The endorphin speed, I'd already done over 200k. I'd done some long runs in those. They were fine. But what happened on race day? Oh my word, I picked up 3 big juicy blisters. I mean, look at those babies. I've not blistered in a long time during the marathon. I do suffer from blistering issues, but I'd found ways of reducing that risk. But for whatever reason, I think because it was hot and the socks, if I'd known the temperatures would have been what they were, I wouldn't have worn those socks. So for me, lesson learned, I should have stuck with my what I call summer socks, something to keep me warm. The other issue is, yes, I know a lot of you said this, go out training with the gown on. I didn't. I know, it really bad mistake. But I don't know what I could have done even if I had trained with the gown on. So you would have heard me saying on that race day video that literally I'd only been going a few hundred yards, and it was already rubbing on my neck and quite sore there. And there were sections on the course with the crosswinds and winds and so on where I didn't trip over, thankfully. I did have a near fall at one point, which was quite scary, but the gown was blowing around and getting caught between my legs, so I had to be very mindful and conscious of, if I felt something, not to push through, because it was getting twisted around me. So I don't think there was anything I could have done if I'd gone running with the gown training before to have stopped that. Gown aside, socks aside, the race was still really tough. It was so warm, and you've probably seen that I was hydrating at almost every station. And one of the comments, yes, did I get the world record for drinking the most during a marathon? I don't know. I did drink a lot, but when I got to the finish, and boy, it was tough, because a number of you did mention, I know Alan and a lot of people were tracking me. It was touch and go whether I'd get that record, because I did slow in the second half. There's no hiding it. It was pretty much even splits all the way through, but I was losing about 6 seconds per mile in the latter half, and when you start adding that up, where I was running to time, I could see literally as I was coming to the turn point where it was saying 400 meters to go. I did look at my watch just after I was saying I'd videoed myself, even though I had said 2 miles before, I'm not going to video before the finish, I'm not going to video now until the finish line. I did get the camera out because the body was literally screaming at me to stop. Everything was hurting all over me, in particular those quads. It was just going stop, stop, stop. But I knew I had to just keep going. And as I said on the video, go, go, go. When I saw that 400 meters, I looked at my watch, I glanced at the watch. I couldn't remember exactly how long it takes me to run 400 meters fresh, let alone at the end of a marathon. But I literally put the pedal down and ran for my life. Ran for my life to that finish line, because nothing was going to take away that record. I hadn't gone all that way to run, you know, 24 miles holding on within the world record time to then lose it in the last 2 miles. There was no way that was going to happen. No way. If you haven't already worked it out, and if you are new here, I do have quite a determined attitude, or should I say dedication. And a lot of you left that comment about the song from the 70s. I used to watch a TV show called The Record Breakers, and there was a song there, dedication is what you need if you want to be the best, if you want to beat the rest, dedication's what you need. Boom, ba-dum, bum. Anyway, I won't recite that, but yeah, it was absolutely fabulous program I used to watch. Never in my wildest dream did I ever think I'd get an official world record. It was touch and go. You probably want to know how the time that I'd done it in. I literally got inside the world record by, I can't remember the exact time the world record was. I know it was 3 hours and 20 minutes. I can't remember the exact seconds. So all I remembered was 3 hours 20. I don't know whether it was 5 seconds and 10 seconds, but I knew I had to beat 3 hours 20. I literally got under 3 hours 20 by 37 seconds. Yeah, let that sink in. 37 seconds. Now I could have lost that, you know, where anything during the time the mind was telling me, you know, the body was telling me to stop, and the mind was saying, oh, give up, stop. But you just got to persist and just keep pushing. And to think, you know, within the first sort of 3-4 miles, my laces came undone. I know, another fundamental error. I forgot to double knot them. I got so excited wherever in the start tent with all these other people in their outfits. I forgot to double knot my trainers. And even when I don't double knot my trainers on training run, it hardly ever comes undone, but they came undone. I could feel the shoes loose on my feet, and I looked down and I thought, oh my god, they've come undone. So I literally had to get onto the footpath off the course and tie the laces up, and that taken up another minute or so. But to think 37 seconds, you know, it's just unbelievable. I still can't believe it, you know, it still hasn't sunk in. And I was speaking to my partner, and she said that you know, maybe because it felt a bit surreal when I was running around London Marathon. I didn't really think I couldn't believe I was actually there. It's almost as if my mind wasn't ready, and I don't think it was. And looking back at the video, it's a great memory. My body may have been ready, as I say, it might not have been 100% fit, but the body may have been ready, but the mind certainly wasn't ready. And I just kept going and going. I was determined, and as I say, dedication to get to that finish line within the world record time, and I did. And it's fantastic. But what's even more fantastic is the comments that you guys leave that really encourage me and help me and are very supportive. It really does mean the world to me, and I absolutely love each and every one of you. Many of you, as I say, I saw during the course, on the course, at the finish, at the start. It was everywhere. It was fantastic. It's like you were all everywhere. I didn't realize that so many people who watch these videos are around all the time. It is amazing, and I absolutely love each and every one of you. And as I said, you know, at the beginning, please do share this video if you find this inspirational in some way. I don't regard myself as anyone special, but I always go out and do my best. That's all I can do. That's all we can do. Isn't that true? So please do give this video a thumbs up, subscribe and hit that alarm bell. And I very much look forward to sharing with you what's going to be happening over the next few weeks, because what's happening next? Well, I did briefly mention what's going to be happening next after London Marathon. I'll be resting now for at least a week of no running. It'll just be walking, and then when I do start getting into the running, I'm planning on doing a 10k race in December, where I'm hoping to qualify for the England Masters at 10k distance. I may have qualified at marathon distance for Marathon Masters, but 10k, completely different kettle of fish, and there's some fast old buggers like me out there that I need to beat to get that qualifying place. So I'll be doing a series over the next, it'll be about next 10 weeks, 12 weeks I think, where I'll be recording the training and what's involved there. And some of you have mentioned that you want to come out with me on some of the 10k training here in Worcester, and you're always welcome to, yeah? As long as it fits in with the sessions that I'm doing, you're welcome to join me on the reps, on the sessions, on the long runs, yep. Leave it in the comments below or message me. You can email me at poetwithpace@gmail.com, and I very much look forward to sharing that with you. So thank you so much for watching, listening, and as I say, if this is inspirational in some way, share it with all your friends and family wherever they may be, and I look forward to continue to share my story with you each and every day. Who's arrived? How you doing? How's your run? I'm so hot and sweaty. Yeah. So you're the man from Guinness World Record.
Yes.
What are you about to tell me?
I'm about to tell you, congratulations, you're officially amazing, because you have broken the record.
Yes! Oh, I love you. Wow, look at this official world record.